One of the other tools available to you in your Office 365 account is OneNote. OneNote is an application that we have actually had in our school district for a very long time. It's just not really been utilized. We have found that it's actually become very helpful with our one-to-one tablet program because there is a new version of OneNote called Class Notebook, which gives teachers the ability to give the students rights to certain parts of a notebook, and it also gives teachers the ability to see all of their students' work in this class notebook. For the purpose of this course, and since we don't have much time, what we're going to look at is just simple OneNote. And OneNote, if I could compare it to anything, is basically taking a binder with tab sections in it and making it digital. Really, that's all it is. So what we're going to look at during this particular video is how you can create a notebook. And this notebook here, this OneNote notebook, is a personal notebook. So for those of you who are at the middle school or high school and have been introduced to this class notebook, this is going to be a little bit different because this is a notebook that you would use just for your own personal information, or it could be something that you might use to keep together a whole bunch of lesson plans. There's a variety of different ways that you can use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the online version. Now, OneNote is one of those applications that works best if you launch it into the full desktop version. But not everybody has OneNote installed on their computer, which is why we're not going to spend a lot of time in this class looking at OneNote, but it is something I think you should be familiar with. So once you've logged into Office 365, we could open up a brand new OneNote notebook by clicking on here, but what we've been doing throughout the class is going directly to OneDrive because that's where all of our documents are, and that's also where we can create new documents, including OneNote notebooks. So I'm going to click over onto OneDrive, and it's going to load all of my files. Now, like if you recall in some of the other videos, if I want my notebook to be created in a folder that I have already created, for instance, I do have a notebooks folder, I would click on this folder first and then create my new notebook. But I'm going to do it the opposite way, just so you can see how to move something into a folder if you forget to create something in a folder that already exists. So I'm going to come over here to where it says New, and I'm going to click on OneNote Notebook. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to give a name for your notebook. Now, this could be any type of notebook that you want. You could just call this a practice notebook, or if you have an idea of some kind of notebook you would like to keep, maybe some kind of curriculum notebook or semester notebook, or maybe just something for fun, a recipe notebook, anything that you want. So I'm going to just call this my Technology Workshop Notebook, and this might be something that I use to keep all of my notes in for all of my workshop. And you should keep this without spaces in it. And then you're going to click Create. And once you click Create, it's going to open up the online version of OneNote. Now, the online version of OneNote is very limited in comparison to the full desktop version. But again, this is something that you should kind of get familiar with, just so you can see if it's maybe something that is worth your while. And for those of you who are going to be working with students in the one-to-one program, knowing how to use the basics of regular OneNote will be very helpful in transferring that to Class Notebook. So let me just give you a little rundown of how this is set up. So over here at the top, this is the name of our notebook. Over here in this pale pink section, this is going to be representing all the tab sections in our notebook. So if I go back over to my OneNote binder comparison, that section will be represented by these little tabs over here. So those equate to those over here. So right now we have an untitled section. We need to name this section. So if I right click on this, I'm going to rename this section. Doesn't seem, oh, there we go. I'm going to click rename, and you're going to name this section. So let's say this is my Technology Workshop Notebook. I might divide my notebook into the different types of software that I'm teaching. If it's so like a recipe notebook, you might have different section for different types of meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner. If it's curriculum, you could do it by fall, winter, spring, or however you might want to do it, topical by unit, etc. Whatever you want, but just keep in mind that these are tab sections in a physical binder. I think that's what these are. So I'm going to call this one, this is going to be my Office 365 section of my notebook. And I'm going to click OK. So I have a section here, and now I am on a blank page in my Office 365 section. So you can equate this blank page here, if we go back over, to the individual sheets of loose leaf that are in each one of my sections. Now the benefit to this is, unlike a physical binder, a OneNote notebook is unlimited. You can have as many pages in each section that you want, whereas in a physical binder, if you did that, your binder would be exploding. So you might ask, why should I use OneNote, if I'm using Word or I'm using Excel? This is a great tool to use to keep everything in one place, and it doesn't mean you have to recreate things that you already have. There are ways that you can insert Word documents that you created and shoot them right into your notebook so that you have sort of everything all in one place. So my Office 365 section is here. I can name this first page, and I'm going to call it, let's see, Introduction. And this might be a page where I put any information that I would include when I'm teaching an Office 365 introductory course. So these are the first steps that you're going to go through, is creating a OneNote notebook, naming a section, and naming a page. In the next videos, I'm going to show you how to use some of the fancier tools in OneNote so you can see how this can really be of use to you inside the classroom and possibly even outside the classroom.